If you followed our reporting on the absolutely horrific killing of a young pregnant woman in Michigan, Rebecca Park, you're really not going to be shocked to learn what the victim's loved ones told police about who did what and why. If this case is new to you, just know that Park was 22 years old and 38 weeks long when she disappeared on November 3rd. She was found November 25th in a national forest, stabbed to death, and her baby cut out of her body. Prosecutors say the baby's dead, but we still don't know where it is. Rebecca's birth mother and stepfather, we're talking about Courtney and Bradley Bartholomew, are each charged with first-degree murder among many other charges. They're each being held without bail. We're talking about the family here being responsible or allegedly responsible. And now we have the probable cause affidavits that are supporting their arrest. And surprise, each is pointing the finger at one another. Police say Courtney told them that Bradley confessed to killing Rebecca the day after her mutilated body was found. Allegedly, Courtney said Bradley claimed to have slit Rebecca's throat. And when she asked what happened to the baby, he said he put it in a cooler and then a trash bag and then threw it in the trash. But then Bradley spoke to police and allegedly said Courtney stabbed Rebecca, ripped out the baby, and threw it away in a cooler. He said Courtney had Rebecca lie down in the woods while she was still alive and cut the baby out of her, supposedly because she wanted it for herself, which obviously raises the question of why she didn't keep it unless it didn't survive. But the only murder charge that was filed so far is for Rebecca's murder, not the infant's. And if that is not enough to make your head spin about all of this, because it's so hard to understand what's happening, there is another affidavit we need to talk about. This one for Rebecca's sister, Kimberly Park, again, all in the family. She has been charged with lying to police and obstruction, and now we know why. 3 days before Rebecca was found, Kimberly allegedly told police that Courtney and Brad killed her, both of them. She said they hit Rebecca so hard on the head that she had a seizure and died, so they had her carted away. 3 days later, Kimberly had a different story. She told police that her dead sister's fiancé, a guy named Richard Fowler, confessed that he killed Rebecca. Fowler's facing charges now too, but on drugs, not murder. Now, I want you to get this. Before he was engaged to Rebecca, Fowler dated Kimberly, her sister, as well as Courtney, her birth mom. I want you to process all that for a second. Now, Courtney was out of the picture for most of Rebecca's life. The two had just reconnected a few years back. And as for Kimberly, the same day that she accused Courtney and Bradley, she also spoke on a podcast that is hosted by a friend of ours. It's called Steph's Case Files. And Steph is Stephanie Pratt. And here's a bit of what Kimberly told her on November 22nd.
Courtney told me if I say absolutely anything, me and my daughter are both going down for it. She said it to my face. She said it the day after my sister disappeared when I came out there.
It's hard to make sense of any of this, but I want to bring on Stephanie Pratt right now. Joins me now live. Stephanie, thank you so much for coming on. Hopefully you can sort this out. I want to start with Courtney and Bradley playing the blame game. The police, telling police the other killed Rebecca, threw away her baby. Can you tell us more about what you know about their statements to police?
Yes, they seem to be playing, just as you said, the blame game. When they questioned Courtney Bartholomew, she stated Brad was the one who hid in the truck, and she was then to get Rebecca to get in the truck. They got in the truck. Courtney says they're just riding along, and then he just starts taking out the knife. And according to her, he was stabbing her 4 to 5 times in both the chest and the back. But then when they brought Brad in, he switched it on Courtney and said she was the one that was swinging the knife as he was stopping the truck to get out of the truck because the knife was still swinging and he didn't know what was going on. So each of them blame each other. But really what police have to do is overlap their stories to figure out what is correct. They both were there. They both were involved. They both handled some sort of weapon. And I think that's going to be the underlying case.
That's a really good point, because right now they believe that they are responsible, not Richard Fowler, for the death. And this idea, I'm still confused, this idea that Courtney lured her out, well, stabbed her, made her lie down, took the baby out. I guess because I'm trying to understand what the motive would have been for that, whether it was to get the baby or there was tension. I don't really quite understand. And then why would Bradley want to kill Rebecca? What would be the motives here for both of them to do this?
Well, we know by Bradley's own testimony that him and Rebecca did not get along, so that would be one motive for him. But in speaking and interviewing Courtney Bartholomew myself, she told me directly that she had plans to move to Texas. And I said, why Texas? That's so far away. She said, well, Brad went there for work one time. He liked it. I like it. We want to move there. We want to have a baby together. My son wants to have a sibling. In fact, in the affidavit, you'll note that she talked about a NICU baby that was hers, that was born early to a friend, stating that the baby was having trouble breathing. So when you put all of this together, I believe the motive was to have a baby that she had already named and had stated in the affidavit that she was mad at Rebecca for killing.
And I just want to circle back on this idea of, if this is all true and Rebecca Park endured all this, stabbed and had the baby ripped out of her and died, that is just unimaginable. It is unimaginable. And you think about this unborn baby, because the affidavits get into that too, right? What happened to this unborn baby who still hasn't been found? What do the affidavits reveal that we didn't know before?
So Courtney, one thing that Courtney and Brad both have in common is they say that the baby is inside a blue cooler that was placed inside a trash bag. Now, who placed the baby in the cooler? Courtney says Brad says Courtney. Then in the trash bag, and then the baby was taken to a dumpster down the road at a house just north of them. And so I'm hoping that authorities are going to try to trace that to a landfill where the baby might be. Who put the baby in the cooler? That's a good question. They both say each other. And the most shocking part of this is Courtney took that baby home, even though the baby had already passed away, and took it to her bedroom and tried CPR for an additional 15 minutes before they decided to discard of the baby boy.
Oh my gosh. And I'll say, look, recovering the baby is not only important from a human point of view and an emotional point of view and a justice point of view, but from a forensic point of view, can obviously say a lot. Real quick, Rebecca's sister, Kimberly, telling police that, okay, it was Courtney and Bradley were the killers, then saying it was Richard Fowler who confessed to the murder. What did Kim tell you directly about that with Richard?
Well, we know by the affidavit that Kim started telling this story before Rebecca's body was found, trying to paint this narrative and timeline for police, going in there on November the 5th and telling police that Rich was after Rebecca, that Rebecca was trying to get away from him and that he was angry and that he could have been the one to do it. Now, what we also see in the affidavit is Kim was approached with the fact that cadaver dogs hid in her bedroom. She explained that away to authorities as the fact that her and Rich are having an affair and that there was bodily fluids inside the bedroom, and that's what the dogs hid on. So now we have an affair between Kimberly Park and Rich, who is engaged to Kimberly's sister, Rebecca, who used to date their mom, Courtney.
Oh my gosh. It's hard to make sense of that. I mean, my gosh, the different people that are involved in all this, the connections, the allegations, trying to make sense of it, very, very tough. Stephanie Pratt, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate you, and thank you for having that conversation with Kimberly. It definitely says a lot. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.